validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Andrew, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I seen Daniel was up in here during the intro of the show. What's going on, Daniel? Happy Thursday. It's been a long, tough week. Burning the candle at both ends, but you know, and it's summertime, so you know it's hot as fuck. Got a AC unit sitting right next to me, trying to blow some cool breeze on me because it is hot as fuck out here. I can tell you. Either way. We are live 7 nights a week, and while we do not let the sun rise without going live, we don't always start on time, and that's why we ask you guys to like and subscribe, and then also mash those reaction buttons, and then hit the notification buttons so that you can know when the show goes live. And we also recommend that after the show that you guys take a look at the membership, see what's going on in the membership, because we got a lot of things that we release to help you guys understand what's going on and help you figure things out. Anything that you don't see in the membership that could potentially benefit you, make sure to throw some questions into the membership, and I'll be able to provide that to you. That way you guys have all the information that you need to be successful. Now, being live 7 nights a week, we have different topics every night of the week. Sunday, we have questions, comments from the fans. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is about business and politics, where Monday we talk about how politics negatively impacts your ability to make, save, and invest money. Tuesday, we discuss different ways to make money, save money, and invest money. And then Wednesday, we discuss different countries around the world that you can live in, potentially invest in. Now, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is discussions about self-improvement, personal development, relationship topics, socialization, negotiations, building your brand. And then we discuss promotions, raises, retirement, forced retirement, severance packages, and then, termination. We also give you guys a lot of information about how to build your 20 and 30-year plan, because if you know where you want to be at when it's time to stop, then you know what you got to do to get there. And that helps you determine what you got to do today to get to where you want to be at tomorrow, next week, next year, next decade. It requires you to affiliate yourself in the right fashions with your long-term goals. For example, an individual who wants to travel to another country, one of the first things you're going to need is a U.S. passport. If you don't have one, you got to go get one. One of the things you're going to need is at least one form of photo identification. You're probably going to need a social security card, a birth certificate, or some other documents to prove who you are, and that passport style photo. If you're one of those individuals that experienced a name change over your lifetime, or you got married or something to that effect, you have to show the difference between what your birth certificate is and who you are now, so that they put that into the file, so that they can put that on your passport when you go travel. These things are things that you don't think about, because if you need your birth certificate to help you get your passport, and you don't have your birth certificate, technically, in order to travel the country, the first thing you got to do is go to your home city and state and acquire your birth certificate. So something as simple as traveling the country or traveling the world has a finite first step, which is get the information together to qualify to get the passport together so that you can have the passport to travel. That's like the first thing you got to get done. Then a lot of after COVID, post-COVID, we have like vaccinations and everything. You got to get your vaccinations up. If you haven't been to the doctor, get your physicals and all of this other stuff. Special shout out to OG Cooks. You have to get your stuff up to date. Then you have to start looking at if you don't have the proper health insurance, you got to go and get the proper health insurance in order for you to travel. And then you have to figure out the cost to get out there, right? So all of these things that you have to do to plan, just so that you can say, well, I'm going to go spend 6 months in another country. That planning phase just for long-term vacation is the same kind of planning phase you got to put down towards a 30-year retirement plan, right? It's not just, when I get old, it'll be all right. No, you've got to make it all right. Michael says, we got baby chihuahuas last night. She delivered 4 puppies, 2 males, 2 females. Congratulations. He said, you don't need validation. I know who I am. Well, it's not so much about validation, Michael. It's about preparing yourself for your own future. So instead of saying that everything's going to be all right, you have to make it all right by creating the successful future that you're looking for. Not everything that you want to have in your future is going to be there. You can aspire to be anything you want to be in life, but there are certain things you might not achieve. You might not make it to be that blockbuster movie star. You might not make it to be the world's best singer or the world's most popular rapper. You might not make it to be the president of the United States. There will be certain circumstances where people who have more control over the outcome of your situation than you do will prevent you from accomplishing your tasks. But your tasks at its very limit starts being limited at what you are not willing to do and the bad decisions that you make that prohibits you from qualifying in the first place, right? So that's why, yes, exactly, making your own heaven on earth, but you have to make your own heaven on earth by, first of all, making the right decisions. So if you don't make the right decisions, you're going to be having a harder way to go to get to where you're trying to be, right? So I should be getting, today's Thursday, I should have Monday night show piece together by Sunday night, because I want to have like 1 or 2 more days of not overwhelming before I start diving in head first and start cranking this stuff out. Because I will be over the next couple of days putting a lot more stuff into the membership. I keep saying that, and then it keeps coming out in spurts. But I had to get all of the shows rolled out, and then there's like 2 weeks of standby time where I can go ahead and flood the podcast with information, and then go back with all of the video releases and everything to that effect. Because I still got video edits I have to do. He says, "Oh well, that's life. No sayers." Well, I mean, yeah. Well, I guess I don't really have a comment on that phrase. The naysayers will definitely interfere with your ability to be successful, but you do have to get to where you got to go by doing what you need to do, and recognizing that the constitutional freedoms that we have in the United States is not afforded to us in other countries. And you start realizing that when you go to other countries, what you're not supposed to do, and the best way to accomplish that is to do what the locals do. But when we start talking about recognizing here in America the freedoms that we have here, is that you have the right to do a whole lot more stuff than what people want you to do. Take the First Amendment auditors. Those guys that be standing out there with a video camera, just standing there videotaping. They're not doing nothing to nobody, but somebody will see them minding their own fucking business, and they will come outside and they will start a confrontation with a person that's standing outside minding their own business. They're not doing nothing to nobody. They're not hurting anybody. They're minding their own business, and they have the legal right to be there. But not only will they harass the person and then get the police involved, they will coerce the police to harass the person to force the person to leave. Not because it's a crime, not because the dude is doing anything illegal, but because they don't want the person there. Our constitutional rights are very fluid. We have the right to do whatever we want to do as long as we're not causing harm to somebody else or somebody else's stuff. Now, the problem that we have is, he said, happy 4th of July weekend. It's just another day for me. Fireworks weekend, I guess. Vote Social Democracy Party. Probably a smart move, because I mean, if everybody who voted Republican doesn't like the outcome, might want to vote Democrat next time. I don't know. But you see, one of the issues that you see though is, because my rights stop where your rights start, it is easy for one person to stomp on another person's rights. You just got to take one extra step forward. You're pushing your right to be an asshole to the limit, while somebody else who has a right to also be an asshole to retaliate against your assholery to push their right to be an asshole. And that's kind of where we are in our country. So, you really got to push the envelope to be successful. And that's one of the things that people don't pay attention to. They don't really pay attention to going as far as you physically can go, going as far as your knowledge will allow you to go. Make as many connections along the way so that your connections can help you get even further than what you would have gotten on your own. Because you notice every movie, every story, every fable, every action pack something or other, you have a bunch of underdogs that band together to beat the tyrant, to beat the oppressor, right? If you want to climb the corporate ladder, you've got to meet as many low-level people as possible to help get you up there to that high-level position. Then you have to meet a bunch of high-level positions that are all able to aim you to a higher level of position. It's not just what you know or what you can do. It is also who you know. It says invasion of personal space. Yeah, it is an invasion of, but see, that's the funny part. Exactly where does your personal space start and stop? I know that's not the topic of today's show. We're talking about privacy and convenience, but I mean, it is kind of part of what we're talking about today, privacy and convenience. Where does your personal space start and stop? Clearly, physical contact is an invasion of personal space. But if there isn't any physical contact, exactly how close can we get to you before it is an invasion? Typically, people say once you start feeling uncomfortable, but everybody's comfort level is different. Some people want 10 feet. 10 feet. Some people are okay with 5 feet. Some people are okay with 3 feet. Some people are okay with consuming each other's breath. Where does how do you gauge appropriate distance from another person, right? So we've got to pay attention to when we might have the right to do something, but it is not appropriate to do it anyway. Because like I talk to people on forums all the time, those bikers that talk about lane splitting versus lane filtering, and how just because it's legal, they can do whatever they want to do. And I'm like, wait, you're not breaking a law, but you're endangering your safety and the safety of the people around you just because the law says that you're allowed to do that. Now the question is that appropriate for you? Because you're getting into a crash because you're driving between two vehicles. And then you're blaming the car because you are driving between two vehicles. Your excuse for driving between the two vehicles is because it's supposed to be allegedly safer for you, and you reduce crashes, but you're getting into a crash specifically because you're in between two vehicles when you're not. You shouldn't be there, and you shouldn't be there not because it's against the law. You shouldn't be there because it is not safe for you to be between those two vehicles. And realistically speaking, you could have tailed the vehicles until they stopped, got off of the bike and walked it in front of the vehicles, and then jumped on them and did what you had to do. People don't want to hear that. They want the excuse to feel free and to feel alive, to piss off other people and cut the line. Okay, but if you would have been in a car, you would not have done that. And when I talk to people about that, it's like, look, the people who got motorcycle licenses went to defensive driving school to get their driver's license before they got a motorcycle. Not everybody started on a motorcycle. A lot of people had cars when they were 15, 16, 17 years old before they got their motorcycles at 18, 20, 25, or 40 and 50. So since you have been driving a car a portion of your life, if you would not have performed that action in a car, don't do it on a motorcycle. That's my thought. Not because it's illegal, but because it's not safe for you. And you have less protection. If you're riding on a motorcycle, you have less protection. There's nothing keeping you from having a limb ripped off. So, be safer. You got to be safer, because if you hit the car, the airbags deploy on the car, but you break your neck. So you got to be safer. That's what I tell people, Michael says, you'll never be successful without the help of others. Yes, that is correct. Because there is no such thing as a self-made man. Truthfully, a self-made man is the epitome of an individual that was given an opportunity from somebody else, which is help. And then they capitalized on that opportunity, and they did not quit when the person who provided them with the opportunity left. That's a self-made man. If I gave you $100 at the casino and then you hit the jackpot, you are successful, but I made you successful. If I gave you $1 and you played a scratch off and you hit the jackpot, you are successful, but I made you successful. You're not a self-made man. If I knew about a Trump Tower being built and you had the money to put down on that investment, and you became a multimillionaire off of that investment, you continue to take the profits off of that investment and invest in other things. But I showed you where the first deal was that put the first stack of cash in your pocket for you to do the bigger things. You're not a self-made man. A self-made man ultimately is a man that received opportunities along the way, and they just took advantage of those opportunities. Equivalent to miracles. Because a miracle is really the smallest possibility of success, where the odds are stacked against you, like 99 to 1, you're supposed to fail. And that 1% or that 0.5% of success, you actually got it. That is what people call luck, and then that's what people call miracles. But if you were in a car, the car blew up, but you're still alive and not on fire, nobody knows how that happened. But if that was to be the thing that happened, and you crawled out of that car, they would call that a miracle. But no, instead of you staying in the car until you actually caught fire, you got out of the car. That's taking advantage of an opportunity when the odds are stacked against you. I wouldn't call that a miracle. I would call you the ultimate opportunist, but I wouldn't call that a miracle. Other people would. He said, can you make a number 2 pencil by yourself? No. Well, shit. So you could whittle down a stick, and it's not going to turn into a pencil. You still need some lead. And even if you found lead, you still need to fashion that lead into a tip into the little shards that they use for the pencils. So you're correct. You would need at least 4 different companies, because you got the wood for the pencil, the lead that goes in the pencil, the metal that goes around the pencil, and the eraser that goes on the tip. So you need 4 different entities to put that pencil together. And then the tools to put the to put on the, and that might be like 8 or 9 different entities in order to make that one number 2 pencil. Now, yes, a pencil company put all the shit in the same place. But to outsource the pieces from 5 or 7 different places, yeah, just to make the number 2 pencil to take your exam, probably took 5 or 10 companies. You're right about that. Now, today we're supposed to be talking about your privacy versus your convenience. Now, this actually plays into the discussions we were having over the last couple of weeks with the automakers putting all of this technology into the brand new cars, mandatorily by law, where they can monitor the behavior and performance of people while they're riding the vehicles. And I said, effectively, with this knowledge, that I'm actually now in the mindset of not buying a vehicle before 2000, or not buying a vehicle after 2021 or after 2020. I think 2020 is kind of where I'm going to draw the line, since the automakers put the law out in 2021. Even though it hasn't been widely enforced, the law was put out in 2021, and they are now proactively putting it into effect for 2027, 2028. So all of the vehicles that are made before 2021, that's going to be where I'm going to be looking at. 2019, 2017, 1996, 1964, stuff to that effect. But the convenience of a self-driving vehicle, the convenience of automated this, voice activated that, a driver assist, whatever, requires so much technology that monitors you and your personality and your dialogue, your eye contact and everything to that effect, to the magnitude where your privacy is out the window, right? We talked about before, and we're about to get into this. Like, you guys talk on Alexa, and when you're talking near Alexa, it's monitoring your communication, so that when you talk directly to Alexa, it will respond to you. If you want to make a purchase, it'll make a purchase. If you want to contact somebody, it'll contact somebody. If you want it to play music, it'll play music. Some Alexas are incorporated into the smart house features, where you can dim lights and turn stuff on and turn stuff off and everything, set alarm systems and everything like that. But that means that the house is wiretapped, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. I said, wood, you have to go cut it, and you need to make an axe to cut the tree down. Yeah, you're right about that. You can't see throw lead paint. This is why it is no longer used in the house paint. Yeah, true. Well, you don't see lead in the house paint, but that's because they were making paint using lead. These days they use different materials, but I think yeah, you're catching up to the process and the point. Yes, that it takes a lot to be successful. Now, back to the main topic. Think about this. Have you ever had a private conversation about a product only to see an ad for it on your phone moments later? Creepy, isn't it? I know. We get a lot of it, because we be talking about something on this podcast for like 3 or 4 hours. And if you're hanging on it with us for a couple hours, either the ads will pop up during the show, or it's going to pop up after the show while you're on your phone. Whatever we were talking about, you're going to get a bunch of news feeds for it. It's going to be a feeling that's going to make you wonder, is my phone listening to me? Yes, it fucking is. Boy, I don't have private conversations near my phone. Major tech companies insist that they're not using your phone's microphone for ad targeting. And so far, independent researchers have not found evidence of this happening on a mass scale. Doesn't mean it's not happening. The truth is, they don't need to. The reality of how they know what you're thinking is far more systematic, more profitable, and more invasive than a simple wiretap. Even though they listen into your conversations, they don't need to. They don't need to listen into your conversations, because a staggering amount of what you do in the digital world is already being watched, recorded, and analyzed. Every click, every search, every like, every pause on a video, every location you visit, it's a breadcrumb. A single breadcrumb might be meaningless, but when these digital traces are collected by the billions, they're meticulously packaged and then sold in a hidden multi-billion-dollar industry that thrives in the shadows of our daily lives. He said, oh God, you made my mind wonder. What if in these remote control cars, they place computer screens in it and it starts analyzing you? Oh my God, Michael, you're so fucking late. That is exactly what I covered on the show like a week or two ago, that they actually are putting that in the cars since 2021. They're putting a computer in the car that is analyzing you. That is exactly that shit. You got the numbers wrong. You said 2120. Welcome to 2021. There, they put it in your car to analyze you. And one of the things that the lawmakers were doing with the you can't fix your own car thing, intellectual property, they were trying to prohibit you removing these auto tracking devices out of your vehicles. So if you didn't want the body diagnostic scan stuff in your car, you can remove it. Back in the day, you could remove it. There are YouTube videos of how to eliminate the limiters and the governors that are on certain vehicles that tops the car out at 110, 120 miles an hour. You can take those limiters off and allow the car to go as far as it can go before the engine blows up, right? But the automakers were trying to create serial numbers to the parts on the cars, where if certain parts weren't on the car wouldn't run. Tesla's got the recognition software on it, where if the car does not detect the original owner in the car won't start, right? That technology is going even further, where they're detecting your vitals. So if your vitals are not based on an algorithmic standard of normal, the car will shut down. I believe that that's going to be a huge problem, because since they cannot guarantee that the vehicle is going to shut down in a safe place, where the vehicle will pull over to the side of the road safely, not get into a crash with anybody and then shut down, or if when you get to your destination, it'll shut down and then it won't start back up again. Like they can't guarantee when and where the vehicle will shut down, because say you've got a long drive ahead of you, say you're tired, you're yawning, your eyes are drowsy, right? If the car is going to turn off right then and there, you're in the middle of the street, the car won't start back up, you're blocking traffic, that's going to cause you to get into a crash. If autopilot would take over, where you no longer can drive your car and autopilot would take you the rest of the way, then it would be fine. You look drowsy, you're taking a nap, you're not paying attention to the road anymore, the vehicle is going to take you the rest of the way, or the vehicle is at least going to take you to a safe parking lot where you can sleep it off and then get back on the road. That would make sense. But they're talking about, no, if you are, say, drunk or whatever the case may be, and you get behind the wheel of the car and you start going a little ways, it's just going to stop. It's just going to stop. And I'm thinking to myself, if it was designed to not start, that would make sense, because you're at least stuck in a parking lot. But if you are already on the move, and let's say you're one of those guys that cracks a beer open 2 miles into your drive and you start drinking, and now you're inebriated, you're drinking and driving. Yeah, that's a felony. Who cares? That's what you're doing, right? Car shuts off right there. What kind of bullshit? I'm not paying for a fucking car that I can't control. Then they give you then there's YouTube videos out there how to take that software out of the car. And if you take the software out of the car, some of these cars won't work anymore. There are some that will work because the 2021 through 2026 models didn't have enough software in it to shut down the vehicle. So the external tech that monitors your vitals, you could take it out and the car would not be impacted by it. The same way, like some of the stuff that's wired into your airbag system, if you pull the fuse on the airbag, the freaking software doesn't get any service, yeah, you don't have airbags, but you don't have the software monitoring your car either in some of those vehicles. And I'm gonna tell you, I pull the fuses on my airbags every time I get a car. I don't give a damn what people tell me about airbag safety. I'm like, nope. When I get into this car, first sensor coming out of the car is the airbags. Why? Because a fender bender in 1940 would be a totaled car in 2025. So something where you just bump the thing and you know it's all right, scratch the paint maybe, but nothing happened. No dents, no curled up, nothing. That's a fender bender. But with a sensor, if more than I think 5 or 10 pounds of pressure hits that sensor, airbags deployed, bust the windshield, $15,000 worth of damage, car total. Like a shopping cart can hit a car hard enough to deploy the airbags in a parking lot. I'm pulling the plug on those sensors. And then I found out certain things that are connected to certain sensors. I'm like, shit, I'm pulling them things out too. Because I don't want that stuff working on my stuff. But see, me and Steven, we're driving like 25, 30-year-old cars. We don't got to worry about that. Worst thing in the world that we have to deal with is unexpected deployment of an airbag. Everybody else has got like the AI robot driving them to the jail and reporting the crime that they were involved in while they were in the car. Michael says, I was walking down a steep hill and my phone was in my pocket. It went and it went. Oh, it went and it was the operator asking if I was okay. Must have jolted it walking. My phone monitors me. Well, no, you don't have. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. You have the emergency response system that is in your phone. You can accidentally jolt that and butt dial the operator or 911. However, certain phones have certain features that people activate, especially when they start activating those accessibility features for the disabled, where a certain quantity of impact or friction on the phone, where if you're walking down the hill and it's in your pocket and you're like a huge vibration on the phone might symbolize a crash. Then that vibration on your phone notifies some backwater, whatever, and then it calls automatically. There are features that happen like that. I turn all that shit off. I thought EMS was cool when it first came out, because if you were somewhere, you could like double or triple tap your power button and it will send a notification to everybody that values you, and it'll send them 3 to 5 photos in succession, which kind of gives you a moment to moment situation of what was going on around the time that you hit that EMS button. So if you were in a car crash, it would show photos of the car flipping upside down and everything like that. If you were under attack, it would show photos of the attacker, whatever the case may be. It would kind of help with you being found, right? If you just broke down, it kind of gives a GPS signal of where you were when you broke down, which if you wasn't paying attention to where you were, a lot of the times when you unexpectedly break down, people always say, I don't know where I am, because we don't. You know, the last overpass I remember was such and such overpass. We don't read the mile markers and recognize that mile marker is the closest thing to where we are, right? So if you're on the interstate and you cross an overpass and then you see those little numbers on the side of the road, that's a mile marker. And if you remember that overpass, and see the mile marker, you can tell them, after I cross overpass such and such, I was at mile marker such and such. They'll know where you are. Kids don't know that these days. So nowadays, it's like, well, I don't know where I am at. I'm on the interstate. But a GPS signal would tell people where you are so that they can come and find you, right? And that's where the fundamental core of those relationship tracker things came from, because it was supposed to be so that you could track your family and your family could track you, so that if one of y'all was in need of help, that you can go and help the other person before law enforcement gets involved. because a lot of the times law enforcement takes longer to get there than your family can. And they're only going when it's a dire emergency. And it's not a dire emergency to you, it's a dire emergency to them. So if there's violence involved, they'll show up. If it's life threatening, they'll show up. If your ass is just missing, they gotta make you wait like 3 days before they start looking for you. And in 3 days, so many things can happen to you in 3 days that if you know something's wrong right now, you look at the GPS signal, go to the GPS signal, you can find that person before the police can even realize that there was a problem, right? But modern day relationships, these insecure women are using it to stalk their husbands and their boyfriends instead of using it to keep them safe. They're using it to make sure that the person they're cheating on isn't cheating on them, which I think is ridiculous. That's not what we were supposed to be talking about today on the show, though. But I just wanted to throw it like that. That's where the technology progressed to, but that's not where it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be about, being able to know where your kids are. It's about being able to know where your wife or your husband is. It's about being able to know where your grandma or your grandpa is, so that if something happens, that you can go and get them. You remember that button that they put on your collar and help, I'm falling and I can't get up. We're sending her help immediately, Mrs. Crutcher. Just stuff like that. That's what we're talking about. In case it gives a GPS location to the emergency response people, and then you know what's going on. He says, broke down, walk to the nearest mile marker, and they are usually a mile apart. Yeah, that's true. So you don't got that far to walk. If you broke down since the last time, you broke down a little ways, you ain't got that far to walk. You either walk back to the last one or up to the next one, whichever one. If you ain't seen a mile marker in a while, there's one upcoming. But if you just passed one, you go back the other way. And that's kind of how you figure it out. But all of this stuff we're talking about with technology, this isn't some far off dystopia. It is the digital present. Like Michael was saying, 2120. Nah, it's 2021. It's the right now. The convenience of our connected world is what we're dealing with, which is the free social media, the personalized news, the instant directions. Google offers me all the time, and I know it does it to you guys too, the curated, personalized search results, the enhanced, advanced search results, the AI tuned or AI enhanced search results. They track your GPS location so they know where the fuck you are at all times, so that they can issue you advertisements in your local area. They track the things that you do the most, the things that you claim that you like, and then they issue you ads that entices you to spend money on the things that you like. It is forced advertisement where you typically choose to buy the things because it's impulse triggering for you to go and buy bullshit that you don't need. Like, I actually hit the limit on Temu on the number of things I can put in my cart without buying it. I think it's like 650 items. I told you guys, when it comes out of impulse buying, put it in the cart, wait. And I typically wait like a few weeks to a couple of months before I decide to buy it. If you still think you need it and that much time has passed, put some money together and go and get it. But just because you look at it like, oh, that's neat, don't buy it just because it's neat. Find value in it first and then go and get it. So to the dopamine hit that I get for putting stuff in the cart, I can put 5 things in the cart, 30 things in the cart. I think my cart looks like $6,000, $7,000. I don't buy none of that shit. I just put the stuff in the cart like playing tic-tac-toe in a shopping app, and then I just log off and leave it there. Because I'm like, no, I'm not buying that shit. And then a few weeks go by, I forgot to even put it in the cart because it wasn't valuable. It was an impulse scenario where I recognized that impulse and I just didn't buy it. But some people do not have control over their impulses. Some people have to automatically hit that purchase button. They have their credit cards, debit cards, and everything tied to their Google wallets and their Samsung wallets, their iPhone wallets, their Apple Pay, and then they have on their cell phone biometric scan to approve the payment. So there is no buffer between, ooh, I wish I could have this versus touching the phone and actually buying the shit. And then they have the structure where when you don't have enough money, no worries. We'll split your payments up into 6 payments. So it's like $5 worth of shit that you can't afford to buy, but we're only going to take like $50 from you today, right? Or $35 a month for 12 months, right? For $500 worth of stuff. Yeah, that's not $500, but you're going to pay for it because for 35 bucks, I can get $500 worth of stuff today. By the time I make my second payment, the shit's here, right? Impulse buying. And all of that stuff comes down to price, the convenience, and then the price. He says, more cameras pointed at you and me than outer space. Yes, but you know what? I actually had one of my neighbors ask me, why do you block your license plate? I said, because motherfuckers are passing by my house taking pictures of my license plate. When squad cars roll through the neighborhood, they're taking pictures of the license plate. When Google rolls through the neighborhood, they're taking pictures of the license plate. My vehicle faces the road, the main road. So people who are passing through the city, who don't even live in the city, can look towards my vehicle and see my license plate. Now, I didn't go into the details about why that's a problem, but I vaguely explained to her, yes, your privacy is public. Now, one of the funniest things about it is that identity theft triggers from the accessibility of volunteered private information. So your license plate shows who owns the vehicle. It shows the name of the person and where that person lives. If that car doesn't belong to that house, somebody's coming to visit, it tells you who came to visit and where that person lives. Now, people think, oh, well, that's nothing. Well, no, that's something. That's a huge something. Because if we got 3 cars in the yard that are registered to 3 different people, the person outside the yard does not have to come into the house and be able to, because it's public record, they can run the VIN number or the license plate number and see who owns the license plate. That's how the police tell whether or not the car is stolen. That's how police tell whether or not your license is valid when you're driving the car, because the license plate identifies the owner of the car. So you got 3 different cars with 3 different owners. That shows that 3 people live in this house, or at least there's 3 people in this house right now, right? Identity theft starts with external information. How many people live there? What are their incomes? Where do they go? What do they do for work? Law enforcement being able to track people's license plates over the course of 6 months. Everywhere the license plate is captured with those flock cameras and everything to that effect, that shows where the vehicle goes and what the vehicle does, which gives somebody else the ability to buy that information and know, hey, this person goes to yoga, this person goes to the gym, and then they're going to offer you some shit, right? Have you ever noticed that if you get a traffic ticket, that 35 different lawyers will mail you, hey, let me take care of your traffic ticket for you, information? You notice if you get into a car crash, so many different lawyers, hey, medical bills, blah, 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 sign up here. You notice that when you start going over 60% of your credit card limits, you start getting notifications for getting a personal loan to pay down your credit card debts. Your personal information is public knowledge. All it takes is for the right person to buy different stacks of information from different places, or steal it, because hackers don't have to pay for shit. They can steal different information from different places and then put it all together, and now they got your information. We covered a whole show about how they can utilize your information with somebody else's information, with somebody else's social security number, create a whole fictitious person, rob somebody blind, nobody know about it. Especially if they're looting from the kids that are under the age of 18. You get like a 5 or 6 year old social security number, and then create a fictitious person, perfect credit, run that for a few months, and then take it over the course of a few years. By the time the child is able to use their social security number for the first time at 18 years old, they've been in the collection agency for 10 years. Most parents don't check their child's social security number. Most parents don't check their child's credit score, credit reports. Most parents don't start building on their kids' credit until their kids are old enough to finance a car. So most parents don't know. So with identity theft, if your information is public knowledge and public accessible, if your personal information, like, I think everybody should have a paper shredder. And then I think on top of that paper shredder, everybody should have a fire pit. so that you shred all of your like bills, all of your medical information, and everything that you would otherwise throw into the trash. You shred it and then burn it. That way, nobody has access to it. But a lot of us just take the whole piece of paper and, at best, ball it up, throw it in the trash. Now, somebody who's rummaging through your trash pulls that piece of paper out of the trash. Now they've got all your information. They got your bank statements. They got your old credit card bills. They got all of the information they need to rob you blind. Back in the day, before the internet, people used to know where you lived, and they break in your house and take all your valuables. Now in 2026, they just get your personal information so that they can rob somebody else using your personal information, and now you have a hard way to go to clear your name. So that's one of the reasons why she was like, well, why do you cover your license plate? That's why. They're not getting shit from me. But yeah, there's more cameras pointing in more places. Now, a lot of this information, right, that is supposed to be about collecting all of your data for a price. It's not a price that you're going to pay with dollars. It's going to be a price that you're going to pay with privacy, because you pay with your autonomy. You're going to pay with your behavior. So tonight's show, we're going to pull back under the curtain on how your personal data becomes their profit, who the invisible players are, and what the true cost of digital conveyance really is. Now, we all live by a simple economic principle. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. It's a phrase you've heard, but its real meaning has become dangerously watered down. This isn't just about seeing a few annoying ads. It's about a fundamental transaction that you're a part of, often without your full understanding of it. He says, go to the bank with your kids and open joint accounts with them. It helps to teach them early money in life. Okay, you can open up a bank account for your kids and not have a joint bank account, but actually be the power of attorney over that account. You can build a trust and be the trustee over the account. You can build investment opportunities for your kids, brokerage accounts and everything to that effect, and then just show them how to do it. If you start with your kids at 8 years old, 7, 8 years old, 6 years old, before they know the value of money, and you teach them the value of money by teaching them how to invest, teaching them how to save, teaching them how to make money in different ways, teaching them how to think outside their box to make legal tender, then you will find that it'll be easy, that you don't need necessarily a joint bank account. But the reason why you get a joint bank account is to have equal control. You don't necessarily need equal control over the account. You just need the kids to be able to pay attention to what you're talking about doing. But you want to do it with their account, not your account, because you don't want them to take your personal banking information and go get $5,000 worth of Fortnite. You want to show them how to spend their money, how to save and budget their money, and how to build for their future. Which, if you teach them as toddlers the value of quality, not branding, then instead of the kids chasing the latest name brand stuff and trying to keep up with the Joneses and impress other kids in the neighborhood, you teach them how to ignore other people and what other people think about you, and just and don't buy your friends. Because if the kids with money who don't value the money, who don't have to work for the money, who don't know how hard it is to get that money, may use that money to buy friends. And then those people that aren't really friends will take advantage of that person and hang around that person because that person's got cash. And you'll be popular because, hey, I got it, I can afford it, I've got money. No. Fuck those people. If they're not willing to buy shit for you, you're not buying nobody nothing. And they should be willing to pay more for you than what you're paying for them. And if they're not doing that, then that's not benefiting you. The return on investment is not supposed to be companionship. It said, make it fun to the bank money with them. Well, you can be the bank and then teach them how to spend money in the house, you can get a safe and then a piggy bank. You can put a large quantity of money in the safe, like $1,000 or $2,000 in the safe, and you can teach the child with pennies and dollars on how to save and invest money at the house. You can teach them compound interest, where if you let me hold your money for a certain number of days, then I'll give you back a certain quantity of money for your allowance. Or you can give them a certain quantity of money and then say, well, you can invest the money back into whatever I got going on for a certain amount. And then after a certain period of time, I'm gonna give you back a certain quantity of money. And that shows them how compound interest works. That shows them how buying and holding stocks works. You can give them options on what things to invest in, which shows them in the house on a small scale how to do this. You can actually go and buy you a bunch of fake money. I would make sure that you write on there that it's not real tender. But you can buy some fake money offline and use it as a teachable tool to show your kids how to buy and sell things in the house. I even talked about that on the show for a long period of time, where you could teach them how to buy and save money in the house. And then when they learn how to do it, then you start introducing them real money into the fold. Is that well, I robbed my piggy bank? Yeah, that's because you had no value of money. I know you're joking. You're coming from the perspective of, oh yeah, the bank had money in my house and I robbed the bank. Yeah, but it's yours. You're stealing from yourself. And when you steal from yourself, that's when you see that when you really wanted something or when you really needed something, you no longer have the money to get it. See, when parents teach their kids responsibility, they also pull that safety net from under the kids. So one, I'm going to make you self-sufficient. And then two, while I will catch your back to a degree, I'm going to do it after you feel the brunt of your mistake. So you're going to not be able to afford something first. You're going to miss out on some shit. And then the other things that you actually really need, I'm going to get that for you, right? But you're not going to be able to leverage the fact that I'm going to get you what you need so that you can waste your money on the things that you want. You will do it out of the things that you need if you have the money to pay for yourself, because you have the money to pay for yourself. That's one of those situations where if you have money to put gas in your car, but you go buy cigarettes, you can't come and ask me for gas money. You had $20 worth of gas money. Where'd you put it? You bought your pack of cigarettes and a bag of chips. Well, then you're catching a bus because you spent your money on the wrong thing, right? It's like the difference between going to a store and buying a quart of beer or buying a roll of toilet paper. If you chose to buy a quart of beer and not buy the roll of toilet paper, hey, that's you. Get what you need before you get what you want. Now, when you're sacrificing your privacy, your autonomy for free products, this transaction is going to be the conveyance for the privacy trade-off. At its core, it's a bargain that we make every time that we use a free service. And a lot of us really chase things that are supposed to be for free. We accept what feels like a small intrusion, which is sharing our location app for something, giving access to our contacts list to find friends, allowing cookies on the website in exchange for speed and personalization. It feels like a fair deal. Benefit is immediate, while the cost, which is our privacy, feels abstract and far away. But this isn't one single choice. It's going to be, like I said before, a death by 1,000 cuts scenario, because it's a relentless series of micro agreements of accept all buttons that you click in a hurry, which cumulatively build an always on surveillance system around you. If you've got one software that is monitoring your microphone, another software that's monitoring your camera, another software that does downloads and uploads, another software that's GPS tracking your location. That's like 5 or 6 different softwares. Individually, they mean nothing to you, but collectively, they're seeing and hearing everything that you do from a third-party source, and they know exactly where you are from a third-party source. While we can scream invasion of privacy in some scenarios, it's like, well, you did agree to allow this app to do it, and then person over Yanaway tapped into that software and started monitoring your performance. So you agreed to be monitored, right? So think of it like this. Every free service that you use is a friendly cashier offering you something great. To get it, you agree to let them place a tiny invisible camera on your shoulder. One camera feels harmless, but after a day of using dozens of apps and websites, you're covered in cameras, each one watching a different part of your life and feeding that information back to a central hub. And the central hub doesn't just see one action, it sees the running shoes that you search for on Google, it sees fitness influencers that you follow on Instagram, it sees the route that you mapped to a new running trail, it sees the healthy smoothie recipe that you saved on Pinterest, it sees the physical therapist appointment that you booked online. Individually, they're just data points, but stitched together, they paint a portrait of you that's more detailed than you can ever imagine. And this is going to be your digital twin, a profile that's constantly being updated to predict and, more importantly, influence your behavior. Now, the platforms that you use aren't just passively collecting your data, they are actively building a model of you. And that model is designed for one primary person or purpose. The primary purpose that it's designed for is to be sold. And this is the invisible transaction that you get convinced, and in return, an entire industry gets a complete exploitable blueprint. So you get some convenience out of this, and they get a blueprint of who you are. Michael says, it's not free. You have a 36 pages of writing. Giving your freedom away. Yep, you ain't never lying, especially with these damn apps. To society, you are nothing but a dollar sign. I would say that you're more of a statistic that leads to a dollar sign, because they actually track you for politics too. They actually track you for politics. Focused ad send would strategically send an ad to a person that would more likely be influenced by it than another person. Instead of just sending ads to everybody, send ads to specific individuals. So say you have on your social media platform and other areas, say you might have certain political signs outside of your house, say you might wear certain political memorabilia, shirts, hats, cups, pins, stuff like that when you go and do things in your life. Say you research certain political websites and research certain political parties and pay attention to certain political news. When they start campaigning for president or vice president or whatever the fuck they're campaigning for, that you get the ad for them, because you are more likely to support their agenda. So they would pull you in looking for that vote. You'll come find that with your, for some reason, voters registration cards, they've got your phone number so that they can call you and ask you if you've got if you're going to vote for them when the polls open up. They're not supposed to know that. I just want to be sure that I've got your vote. No. Even if you did, I'm going to say no. Just trying to throw it out there. And you don't need to know what I'm going to do. When it's time for me to do it, you'll find out after it's done. Now, to get the scale of what's going on, you need to understand just how much data is being harvested. It goes way beyond you typing what you got to type in a search bar. We're talking about a forensic level collection of your entire digital life. So let's break it down for a second. First, the obvious stuff, identity data. You know, this is going to be like your name, your email, your phone number, your address, your age, your gender. This is stuff that you put into every form box that you go to whenever you apply for something, a loan or a cell phone or anything like that. When you apply for an apartment or a house or a car or whatever application that you're filling out, that application becomes public knowledge. All of this information goes there, right? Now, that brings me back to what I told you about the license plate thing. Every time you fill out an application, that application becomes public knowledge. Now, if they can match that application, your name and your address to that application, whatever you got an application for, that means I know where you live. Now, whatever I wanted to sell you in that area, I can now reach out to you. Now you're getting letters in the mail because I did something online, right? This is why I have my license plate. They ain't gonna know where the fuck I'm at. They will, but it's gonna be a lot harder to find me than the average individual because I'm a little bit more what you would likely to call paranoid. I'm more discreet. I'm a little bit more off the books. I'm a little bit more old school. I'm pre 2009, pre-internet individual where it's like, if you try hard enough, you could probably figure out where I am. But I think it was this time last year, I was in a courthouse and they had a responsibility to find me and nobody knew who I was or where I was while I was sitting in front of the judge. And the judge had to tell him, hey, you can stop looking for him. He's sitting right there. And I thought that was hilarious because I'm like, wait, y'all been looking for me for 10 years and I've been sitting right here for the last 2 hours. And y'all didn't even know I was in the room. Y'all bug it up. But that also shows I can't be searched on the internet as easily as the next person. My information trail runs cold because I don't update anything. Now, this is going to be for everybody else that the information that you hand over voluntarily when you sign up for things. In some cases, it's going to be a service for a bank or a credit card, checking account. And this can include government identifiers when you're trying to get your tax returns or when you're trying to get your Social Security, your VA benefits, whatever, which are going to be handled by specialized companies and anchor your online persona directly to your real world identity, right? The whole secured login feature, yeah, but now they're tracking your shit. Next up is going to be the really revealing stuff, behavioral data. People don't even think about behavioral data. This is like a private investigator noting everything that you do online. It's what you click on, but also what you don't click on. How long you look at a photo before scrolling away from it. The items that you put into a shopping cart and then abandon it. See, so even when I abandon 600 something things in a shopping cart, they know that I'm less likely to buy some shit because I throw it in the cart and the transaction stops there. The late night searches that you hope no one else is seeing, somebody knows that. The articles that you read, the tone of your comments when you comment on things, all of it. This data doesn't just reveal your interests, it reveals your habits, your impulses, and your vulnerabilities. It tells them what makes you happy, angry, or likely to spend money on. You experience that on social media when they're sending when they start feeding you rage bait videos because the last video that you rage baited on, you put a paragraph in there to respond to something that happened. Right? Then there's the commodities that become incredibly valuable and sensitive. Location and movement data. Your smartphone is a tracking device. Through GPS, Wi-Fi networks, and Bluetooth beacons, these systems can map your life with a frightening precision, usually within 33 feet of your person. You be watching those cop shows where they be looking for the person and the person calls or they intercept the call and then they triangulate the call and they can triangulate that call within 3 city blocks or 30 city blocks or whatever the case may be, and come to find out they're within like 20 feet of the guy within an hour and a half, or they speed it up like 30 seconds in the show, but within an hour and a half they didn't found the person and now they're in a chase and it turns into a shot and all this other stuff. If you've got a cell phone, they can triangulate you to just about exactly where the fuck you are. And from the outskirts of that triangulation, they will close in the gap until they find you. It's not perfect. People do get away, but the fact is they can track you. And for those of us who can't have our cell phones off for nothing, we travel with a charger with us. Our phone is being used all day and all night. And when we're asleep, it's dumping data back into the network. Yeah, you know exactly where we are and what we're doing. They're going to know where you live and work, often by just seeing where your phone is during the day and where it rests at night. So if your phone never leaves the house, or like if you're one of those people that has more than one phone and you take certain phones with you for certain situations, when a phone moves, they know that that phone left its origin and went to a specific destination. They know where the destination was. They might not know what you were doing at that destination just by tracking the location of the phone, but they can have an idea and have a little bit of a guesstimation. Okay? And they'll know other places that you go to: the gym, doctor's office, your kid's school. While operating systems like iOS and Android have added more user controls for location data, and there's a growing scrutiny on tracking and sensitivity places like clinics, and massive amounts of this data is still collected, logged, and stored. You got to recognize, even when you turn off your location, your phone emits a signal to connect to the Wi-Fi. Your phone emits a signal to make outgoing calls. As long as your phone is receiving data, you see those bars going up and down on your cell phone. As long as your phone is receiving and receiving data and releasing information, the location of where that went and where it's coming from is still tracked. Right? Of course, to track you across the internet, they need to know that it is you. They can track a signal and not know who the signal belongs to. And that's going to be where the device and technology identifiers come into play. Your phone, your laptop, and your smart TV all have unique fingerprints. One of the things that you've realized, I don't know if you guys have noticed this recently, phone companies are not willing to sell you a phone, just the phone. Like T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, something like that. They're not willing to sell you a phone, just the phone. Yeah, you got some small mom and pop shops, some backdoor aftermarket places that's like, sure, you can just buy a phone with me and then connect it to your provider. We don't give a fuck who's buying it. But the major phone companies are having a strict policy of you must only buy a phone if it is being connected to an active line. You can't just buy a phone for the sake of buying the phone and then connect it later. They won't sell you the phone. It has to go to an active line. Why? Because they're keeping track of who owns the phone. Doesn't matter if you're the one using it, who owns the phone. Strange, isn't it? But the IP address and advertising ID is going to act like a digital license plate, letting systems recognize you across different apps and websites, even when you aren't logged in. One of the better things when I told you guys about LLCs and C corporations, if you register the account to a business account, the phone comes back as a business, not as a person. Doesn't mean that the owner or legal authority over the business isn't listed. It just means that the first entity that is registered to the phone is a business, not a person. So it starts looking a whole lot different, right? Now, this is going to be how the shoes that you looked at on your laptop suddenly appear in an ad on your cell phone. They know it's the same person. And you don't exit into a vacuum. A huge part of your defined identity is relationships, and they track that too. This is relational data. It's your contact list, which I know that you guys have experienced this. Whenever you log into something for the very first time, the first thing, especially if it's a social media thing, the first thing it does is ask you for permission to tap into your contact list. And especially if it's a video game or something like that, it may even offer you a reward of some kind for connecting your contacts list to the game or the platform. When you agree to connect your contact list to that game or that platform, it sends a mass text message to everybody in your contact list. Hey, I logged into this game, or I logged into this app. You log into it too and connect with me. You don't get anything for that. If you manually say, hey, I refer you to this thing, we both get some money. But if I connect my contacts list, they spam your contacts list for free because you volunteered it. Crazy. So this is going to be your social media friends list. It's also going to be about your patterns. So who do you message the most? Who do you tag in photos the most? This builds a social graph that reveals networks of influence and trust. You know something? If you ever get in trouble with the police, they give you a phone to call whoever the fuck you want to call so that they know who else you affiliate with. The people you call are the people that you trust the most. It's not about you getting somebody to come and bail you out. It's about them knowing who else affiliates with you. That's why they give you the phone. Because and you're volunteering phone numbers. And a lot of the times those phones are tapped. So they're volunteering information. Whatever you say on their line is and will be used against you in a court of law. Man, they got me, hide the drugs. He just admitted he's affiliated with this other guy, and this other guy knows where the drugs are. You know, so you got to pay attention. They know who you trust, which means they know who is most likely to influence you. Think about this. This is a wild one. This is a wild one that not too many people realize. Medical providers, why do they want an emergency contact? It's not to tell somebody else that you are in trouble. It is not for them to contact your next of kin and say, hey, so-and-so died. The emergency contact is a ploy for them to find an alternative contact that you trust the most, somebody that likely values you the most, so that they can secure the debt from your emergency contact because you refuse to pay it. They will contact you, they will contact your employer, and they will contact your emergency contact in order to get paid. It is not to let these people know that you're hurt. When I discovered that about 15 years ago, I made it a point to not have any emergency contacts. They, oh, you don't want to add somebody? No. There's nobody in my life that I want to know that I have a bill here. Nobody. You know, and it's wild because if I've got enough strength in my body, my cell phone will call the important individuals that needs to know that I'm about to die, and they will figure it out from there. But will I tell a stranger who the most valuable people are in my life? No. That's like Hitman 101. You don't tell them what your weaknesses are, right? But a lot of people do. A lot of people do. A lot of people will, they find that like a milestone in a relationship to tag each other as emergency contacts, right? And it's what it does is it links you with somebody else financially. It's not in case they're an emergency. Yeah, if something happens 10 years down the line and you guys broke up and then something happens, somebody might call you looking for your ex. Why do they know that you know your ex? Because at one point in time, y'all were connected together by this document. And this document hasn't been updated. So I'm following a cold lead. You know this person. Tell me where this person is. Crazy, right? That before we get back to the main topic, that reminds me, y'all know some of those bounty hunter scenarios where they be going to the wrong house and they be harassing the homeowner, swearing up and down that they know the person is inside the house. That's because whoever bailed him out allowed him to use their address as the place to collect the guy. He skipped bail. They're coming to the house because that's where he's supposed to be. If he skipped bail, he's not going to be where he's supposed to be. They know that, but they're hoping he's going to be there so that it's an easy arrest. It's an easy capture so that they can get the fine. They can collect the bounty. So they're going to kick the door down and they're going to force their way in to verify you're not there, right? The only thing they're going off of is a piece of paper that you probably participated in signing off on, that person will be living here when you come to look for him. Which means they're not going to leave until they verify that he's not there. But they're following the cold lead. An arrest warrant and a search warrant is not the same thing. An arrest warrant allows for them to apprehend somebody. A search warrant allows them to look for somebody. If they came on an arrest warrant, on a cold lead, because paperwork suggested he might be there, they did not have a visual eye. They were not in hot pursuit. They do not have the legal right to enter the property. They need to now get a search warrant to execute the search for the execution of the arrest warrant. They don't have a search warrant. They can't search. They can't use I got a warrant to search. You need a search warrant, not just an arrest warrant. If you ain't got both, you ain't coming here. And we'll defend this until the last breath. So if you want to walk into this place and step through a bunch of blood and say, shit, we got the wrong house, explain that to your supervisors. But or go get you a fucking search warrant. But this is where they get this information from. You bail your homeboy out because your homeboy fucked up and you don't want your homeboy to stay in jail. This is what it does to you and them. It puts you in a piece of paper, a legal document that requires them to look for the other person, and now they're looking for the other person at your house. Each time you bail a friend out of jail, especially if this person gets in trouble a lot, you find yourself being one of the first people that the police contact when your friend gets in trouble again. And you know what they do? Tap your phone. Because after they harass you looking for your friend, they leave you alone and see what you do. A lot of people, foolish. First thing they do, call their friend, let them know the police is looking for them. Or even dumber, go to their friend to tell them in person because they don't trust a cell phone that the police is looking for them. The police are gonna follow you for a few weeks to see where you go. And as soon as you come in contact with the person, arrest both of y'all because every person lies and says, I don't know the person or I don't know where that person is at. And as soon as you lead them to the person, obstruction. So this is like how people find the information that they need and they use your behavior patterns against you. Finally, we're going to get to the most unsettling layer. This is going to be inferred traits, stuff that you never thought about. This is the part of your profile that you never provided. It's what algorithms conclude about you from everything that's been going on. They infer your income based on where you shop. If you shop at the Goodwill and thrift stores, they're going to assume that you're poor. If you're shopping at the mall, they're going to assume that you got money. If you're shopping, buying brand new cars at the dealership, they're going to assume that you can afford that versus getting cars from a used car lot. or an auction. They infer your political leans, your relationship status. If you're going places in a group where you and another person are always involved in something, they're going to assume you're in a relationship. If you're only going to solo activities, they're going to assume that you're single. Even your health concerns, if you go to the doctor on a regular basis, if you have large checkups and extensive evaluations on a regular basis, they pay attention to that. Are you likely to move? If rent's going up and your income doesn't look like it's going to sustain that, probably. A high value customer, if you spend a lot of money, probably. Are you trying to get pregnant? Baby shower wish list. These aren't just labels. They're judgments from a machine that can place you in categories that affect the information that you see and the opportunities that you get. While some regulations, especially in Europe, are starting to restrict the use of highly sensitive traits for ad targeting, this kind of profiling remains widespread. So, where does it all come from? Every app on your phone, browser cookies, and invisible pixels. Your supermarket loyalty card that links all your purchases to your name, and even public records scraped from government sites. It's a dragnet of unparalleled scope, all designed to feed a single, vicarious, and almost entirely hidden ecosystem. So you have an idea, and this is going to be the raw materials, the mountains of personal data being collected every second. But where does it all go? Who's buying it? Who's selling it? The blueprint of your life, where is it going? This is where we step into the highly lucrative underworld of the data economy. Welcome to the world of data brokers and surveillance advertising. At the center of this market would be the data brokers. These are companies that you've never heard of, whose entire business is to collect, combine, analyze, and then sell your personal data without ever interacting with you. They're the information wholesalers of the 21st century. Companies like Acxiom, Experian, and CoreLogic operate in this space. While it's hard to pin down a precise number, it's clear that this is a massive industry. Part of the broader data monetization ecosystem worth hundreds of billions of dollars. That's where we're at with that. Oh, I see Lucas the Poser. Special shout out to originally Max the Poser, but he changed his name. Good to see you, Max. And a special shout out to Max's dad, Joe. Joe was on the show one time, I think last year. He was on the show. Now, these brokers pull data from everywhere. They pull it from the apps, loyalty programs, public records, other brokers, and stitch it all together into comprehensive dossiers. We're talking profiles with thousands of data points on a single person. Your contact info, every address you've lived at, your purchase history, estimated income, hobbies, and a trail of your physical movements. And who's going to buy this? Advertisers, obviously, but the client list is much longer. Insurance companies, financial institutions, landlords might use it for screening. And because the market in the United States is governed by a patchwork of state laws rather than a single federal one, your data can often be bought by almost anyone, including government agencies that can purchase data that might otherwise require a warrant. They do a federal level background check. This information is going to be in there. This is the shadow market. Your life packaged and sold to the highest bidder, often without your knowledge. But how does this data turn into that ad on your screen? Through a process that is both a tech marvel and a privacy nightmare. Real-time bidding, or RTB. Imagine you open a new app. In the fraction of a second it takes that page to load, a lightning fast auction happens for the ad space on your screen. The app sends out a bid request to a marketplace announcing, I have a user about to look at this page. Who wants to show them an ad? Special shout out to Noah Schaefer. It's been what, a long time, almost like you got locked up and came back. Good to see you. Yeah, Max is still evil. It's like all your buddies came up at the same time. Appreciate you guys coming back. Now, this request is packaged with info about you, your general location, your device type, and most importantly, audience segments that you belong to, like likely to buy an SUV or sports enthusiasts. This data packed together into a packet is blasted out to hundreds of potential advertisers. Their algorithms instantly analyze it and bid against each other. Now, you and I both know, Noah, that as the buddy of Max Opposer, that you wasn't really locked up. You don't even go to work, bro. Y'all go to middle school right now. There's no way that you there's no way you're gonna get tax fraud, bro. You don't even have a job. You thought I forgot. There's like 4 of y'all. You thought I forgot. I didn't forget. Now, when these ads go out, the highest bidder wins, and their ad is instantly sent to your screen. The whole thing is over before you even read the first sentence of the article on the app that you jumped onto. He said, nah, I'm 32, gang. 32-year-olds don't use the term gang. Grown men don't use gang. See, there we go. There we go. Now, this happens billions of times a day. Each auction is another instance of your data being broadcast to a wide array of companies. And this is surveillance advertising, a system where the free internet is funded by a constant high speed and utterly opaque trade in your behavior. It's a lot to take in, and I know the hidden machinery can feel unstoppable, but understanding the problem is going to be the first step towards finding a solution. And while much of the system is designed to be opaque, there are companies working to give power back to you, and that's why we're going to be giving you guys a lot of information about how to do it, right? So if you're looking for services dedicated to helping you reclaim your digital privacy, companies that clearly explain what the services do, whether they're scanning the web to find where your personal information is exposed on data broker sites and automatically requesting it removed on your behalf, or providing a powerful VPN that encrypts your internet traffic and masks your IP address, preventing trackers from following you across the web. If you're looking for any of that information, we're going to be potentially throwing a lot of that stuff into the membership coming soon. He said, where's Lucas? Right here. That's where he is. On break, just to drop my like in. Hey, I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. He said, JJ, I need to ask about my phone. I didn't even see JJ in the studio. What do you want to ask about your phone, JJ? So I appreciate Steven dropping in during his break. Had to drop his like in on the show. Michael was here earlier. OG Kicks was here earlier. FX Trader should be dropping in when we start talking about money. Today's a good day. We got all of the 4th of July. The kids are in school. Everybody's dropping in today. Now, in a world that profits from your data, you guys got to realize taking a step to protect it is a radical act, right? So you guys got to pay attention to what we put into the membership so that you guys can see exactly what happens when you put towards put the effort towards aiding yourself in protecting your identity, which protects you from not just ads, but being exposed to negative situations that you otherwise could have avoided. No, we're not talking about the pin today. We are talking about cybersecurity. We're talking about the difference between your ability to make sacrifices between your convenience in life and losing out on your privacy. And one of the things that you're going to sacrifice by maintaining your privacy is certain conveniences in life. That's what we're talking about today. See, there goes another scenario. You're telling me that you know you're 32 years old. You were in the pen and calling folks gang. That's not what grown folks do. That's not what grown folks do. It seems like the collective that all of y'all having a sleepover and found podcasts, and as soon as Max got me to respond, y'all are like, "Ooh, he's here! It's live!" And everybody decides to dive in. So if this system is so intrusive with privacy being invaded for the convenience, why do we let it happen? Why do we so willingly click agree on terms that we never put the effort into reading? Like Michael said, it's like 50, 75, 100 pages worth of shit that's important towards our privacy and our safety, and we just click the button. The answer is a mix of clever psychological and it's clever psychology and the very real consequences of the data-driven world. What you kind of hear me out? You're gonna have to speak clear English, my boy. That's how we work. Now, we rationalize it through something called the privacy paradox. Study after study shows that people say they value privacy, yet our actions tell a different story. One reason is present bias. We're wired to value immediate rewards like a cool app over long-term abstract risks like data misuse. The convenience is here and now. The potential harm is a vague what if that's easy to ignore down the line. Then there's complexity and fatigue. Privacy policies are long and confusing, and no one has time or really the effort to become a contract lawyer just to download an app. This isn't an accident. It's a design choice. By making privacy a chore, companies know that we'll default to the easiest option, which is clicking to agree. This is made worse by social pressure. When you know is on a platform, opting out can feel like social or professional suicide. Over time, this leads to normalization. Constant tracking and targeting ads start to feel like just how the internet works. We get used to the creepiness because the convenience is so woven into our lives. But what are the real costs? Now, it's much more than just getting spooky ads. First, there's the loss of autonomy and manipulation. When a platform knows your psychological triggers, it can exploit them to keep you scrolling, watching, and clicking, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people might find themselves doom scrolling on social media for 4 to 10 hours, because the algorithm knows what keeps you there. Dark patterns in apps nudge you towards choices that aren't in your best interest, like signing up for a hard to cancel subscription. A lot of times you find yourself getting into a subscription because of a free trial. The longer the free trial period, the harder it is to cancel. For one reason, you fucking forget about it. For two, it's going to be an automatic bill pay because you got to put your credit card on file and everything like that to get the free service. Then if you forget about it, then they charge you. Then you can't find the phone number to call the people to cancel service. If you take too long, especially if you're still using the service, if you take too long, you're not going to be able to get your money back. Your choices might feel free, but they're being quietly shaped by algorithms whose only goal is to make you more predictable and more profitable, meaning that they profit off of you. Second, this leads to profiling, discrimination, and even gatekeeping. Your digital profile is used to make decisions about you. Now, you might be offered high interest loan while someone else with a similar financial history but a better profile gets a better offer with the same provider, because these decisions happen in a block box. It's almost impossible to know why you were passed over for a job, denied a loan, or charged a higher insurance premium. And this can quietly reinforce existing social biases, creating a new form of digital redlining. Third, there are huge security risks. All this centralized data is a magnet for criminals. And this is one of the reasons why I told the story about blocking license plates when cars parked in the driveway. Data breaches are now routine. Breaches at companies like Equifax, Marriott, AT&T, and Ticketmaster have exposed the sensitivity information of hundreds of millions of people. The Cambridge Analytica scandal was a stark example of how data harvested through what was technically consent, but not truly informed consent, can be used to build psychological profiles to influence voters. Finally, there's the problem of irreversibility. Once your data is out there, it is incredibly difficult to get it back. You can't change the fact that a detailed history of your life exists on a server somewhere in the middle of nowhere. It can be copied and resold identifiably in a way where it's a permanent factor of internet. Like when they say that once you do certain things and it goes on the internet, it stays on the internet. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that somebody else can't see it about you. Not all the time does the internet show you what it has on you. You can Google search yourself and find a lot of stuff about yourself that you didn't know was up there. And it takes a lot of time, and a lot of times it's going to take a lot of money to get it down, because while people have the freedom to collect public records and then promote those public records, if you want them to remove those public records, more often than not, you have to pay them to remove that information. That's another way that data collectors make money. Even with new data deletion rights, fully erasing your digital footprint once it has been spread around is often practically impossible. You're building a permanent record of your life that you don't own and you can't fully control. Hearing all this is easy to feel hopeless, but you're not. The goal isn't to go off the grid the way I do and abandon technology altogether, because I still got a lot of technology surrounding me. The goal is to renegotiate your relationship with it. It's about moving from being a passive data source to an active, informed user. The first step is going to be to change your mindset. Before you click agree, start asking a few simple questions. What's the real benefit here? Is this map app request for my location essential, or is this flashlight app asking for my contacts just plain greedy? What data are they asking for? Is it just an email or my location, microphone, and entire contacts list? Right? The more they want, the higher the risk. Who's going to get the data? Does their privacy policy mention sharing with third-party partners or ad networks? If so, assume your data is being sold. What's the worst case scenario? Don't just think about the ads. Think about a data breach. Think about stalker getting your location history. Think about an algorithm denying you an opportunity. Is there a better, more private alternative? Can I pay a small fee for a service instead of getting it for free with tracking? Often, the answer is yes. Asking these questions turns a thoughtless click into a conscious choice. Beyond that, here are going to be some conscious steps that are concrete that you can do right now to shrink your data footprint. Because once I started realizing this in 2013, I started shrinking my data footprint as much as possible. I couldn't control everything that went out there, but I could control a lot of it. First thing you want to do is you want to reduce collection at the source. Go through your permissions on all of your devices. Be ruthless about it. Does that game really need my microphone? Does the social media apps need your precious exact location 24/7? Change location access for most apps to only while using it, or turn it off completely. If you don't use an app, uninstall it. I know a lot of people who have phones that's got so many apps that you downloaded just to try out the app, and then you didn't like the app, or you lost interest in the app, and the app's still on your phone. You haven't used that app for 6 months, a year, 2 years, but that app is still collecting data. If you go to that particular app, you'll see a few hundred kilobytes of data space, even though you haven't logged into that app. Delete the app. Second, you want to limit tracking and profiling. Secure your browsers. Switch to privacy-focused options like Firefox or Brave. Ditch Google search for alternatives like DuckDuckGo. And that's not going to build a personal profile on you. DuckDuckGo does not build a personal profile. I am so used to Google, and most people are. We don't even like Yahoo. Most of us don't. But switching to an alternative search engine, while it's not going to give us the ultimate enhanced performance with finding out the information that we need, we find ourselves in a position where we're not being tracked as much. One of the things I told you guys before, when I do research on things, I use Perplexity AI. Now, that is something from China, way better than ChatGPT, but it's a search engine. That's all it is. It's a search engine. Google's a search engine, but the difference between the two is that Perplexity AI is not tracking the same thing that Google's tracking. I still track it, but with all of the stuff that I research 365 days a year, I'm researching a different topic every day. I'm researching a different topic probably multiple times a day. There's so many things that I research to the fact that the data shows I'm a researcher. I look shit up. I look up a lot of shit, right? And that puts them in a position to have a difficult time trying to pinpoint certain things. But if you try install a tracker blocker like uBlock Origin, and then get in the habit of clearing all of your cookies. I know the cookies are convenient because if you've logged into something once before, you can log back in it with little or no effort. Sometimes you stay logged in on certain things where all you have to do is just push the button and it brings you back to where you were when you left off, especially if you're playing online video games. But in order for them to give you the convenience of instantly bringing you back to where you left off, they had to track where you were and then track what you were doing while you weren't online, which means just running in the background. And guess what it's doing while it's running in the background? Besides stealing your data, burning the battery power on your cell phone. One of the reasons why your phone doesn't hold power as well as it used to, because you got too much shit in the background operating. One of the reasons why your device isn't moving as fast as it used to, because you got too many things running in the background. So the third thing you want to do, push back on data brokers. Now, this used to be nearly impossible, but new laws are giving you some power. In California, the Delete Act slated to become fully operational sometime during 2026, going into 2027, will create a way to request that hundreds of brokers delete your data all at once. For others, you can use services like our sponsors or other individuals that we talk to. And you'll be able to find some individuals that will remove your profiles. It's a game of whack-a-mole, but it's a game worth playing. Then you have harden your security. That's something that you really need to do. This is going to be a non-negotiable. Use a password manager, and you're probably going to have to pay a fee for it. That way, it is exclusively yours and not being hit with more ads. But use a password manager to create unique, strong passwords for every account. Matter of fact, you can do it the old-fashioned way. Put a fucking safe in your house, create a password, write it down, and then put that book of passwords into that vault. Right? Then you don't have and I mean, yeah, you could be a little bit technically savvy and put a PDF file of passwords and then put that PDF file on a thumb drive and carry the thumb drive with you. But to the magnitude of, if you separate the passwords from the websites that auto log you in, auto fill in your information, you're less likely to have those passwords leaked to something else. Then you want to turn on multi-factor authentications, MFAs. And you want to do that everywhere you can, especially for your emails and your banking accounts. And one of the funniest things about this one, you can log in on one device and it requires you to verify it from another. Yeah, you can do it all on one device, but say with the multi-factor authentication, say you're trying to log into your banking information on your computer, but you have to verify it on your cell phone. Now you need two devices to log in. If the password is on another device, you have to get the password from the device, log in on a computer, and verify it on a cell phone. That's three devices to log in. Somebody can't steal the laptop and have instant access to the account because they need the password and they need the verification from the other device. Finally, you want to change your shared defaults. I don't know why people still have shared defaults, because with the way, yeah, it's cute when you walk up to a hot chick and you're just able to touch your iPhone or her iPhone, and now you got her contact. But dude can pass by you and shoulder block and scan all your credit cards off your cell phone just as quick. You could bump into somebody in public and just got robbed. Because just as easily as it was for you to extract her phone number from default sharing scenarios on your thing, is just as quickly as somebody else could copy or duplicate all of your financial information off your phone. All the credit cards, debit cards, and accessible financial, Bitcoin and everything, your blockchain, everything that you have accessible on your phone. Then you want to think before you post. The internet has a long memory. So you want to be more conscious about what you volunteer online. Notice how when the guys were trying to ask me personal questions about myself, that I did not entertain any of it, because the fact is that this is about you people, not about me. I'm trying to help you guys better yourselves. So you start asking me about my status in my personal life that has nothing to do with your ability to make, save, and invest money. I just stop entertaining those questions. Right? Now, you want to assume anything that you share could one day become public, if it's not already public. You also want to recognize that even if you're quote unquote joking in the moment, that somebody can find that and then potentially use that information against you in the court of law. You make a comment about taking somebody out, that person ends up taken out. You find yourself in a legal case where you post online that you would do it. You might have been talking out of your ass, but now you're the prime suspect. You got to be careful. But you want to let that thought guide what you choose to reveal. Where you're at, who you're with, where you're going, what your vulnerabilities are, what your accessibilities to defend yourself is. A lot of the times, a lot of that information needs to be refrained. You're not supposed to show your whole hand, especially not to the world. Because if anybody who plays collectible trading cards, if they know what kind of deck you have, they can build a counter deck against it. You don't know your enemy, but your enemy knows you. The goal is to not let anybody see anything that you have available to you until you have no other choice. So when a friend comes over to your house, they know what's in your house because they came over to your house. But somebody 5,000 miles away should not know what's in your house because you're posting all of your most expensive things in your house. Why is that? Because somebody 1,000 miles away can now come to your house and rob you because they know what's in your house and they know where it's located at. I know y'all know that take, for example, it's been a wild fad that hidden doors started becoming a popular sell. And I know so many people think, oh man, that'd be cool if I had one of those in my house. But the problem is that now that it is public knowledge that hidden doors exist, unless you can uniquely make that hidden door blend into your current house design, it's not going to be a hidden door. It's going to be another room. And they're going to know, oh, that's a Murphy door. How do I open it? And they're going to fuck with it till it opens. Right? You guys got to be careful. Now, none of these solutions is going to be a magic bullet, but put together, they create friction for the data collectors. They throw sand into the gears of the surveillance machines and help you build more intentional and private digital lives. You guys got to understand, the less that you do directly on social media, the more privacy you gain. The less you promote about yourself, the more privacy you gain. And one of the things I've experienced since 2017 is that the more stuff that you list under your business name, the less you have to be listed in public record. You can't stop public record from being created, but you can alter how your stuff is identified in public record. So we started with that creepy feeling of being watched, and we've seen how the digital world is designed to extract value from you, treating your attention as a commodity and your behavior as a raw material to be sold. It has normalized the level of observation that just a generation ago would have seemed like something out of a spy novel. But this system isn't a law of nature. It was built by people, and it can be changed by people too. It can be changed by the laws that we demand from our governments, like the growing number of state privacy acts giving people real rights to access and delete their data. It also gives us the discomfort of those flock cameras where they're tracking your movements throughout the cities and states across the country. It can be changed by the choices that we make, by supporting companies that prioritize privacy and walking away from those companies that don't. And it's a change by the small individual acts of digital hygiene that we adapt to in our own lives, pulling in different ways that we do things. For example, real quick, whenever you're involved in some bullshit, if you're not going to call for help, remove yourself from the situation. Don't live stream it on your social media profile unless you plan on being a witness to the incident. Why do I say that? One, if you're promoting conflict from your profile, your employer is going to know that you involve yourself in conflict. Two, when things go bad in that location, you are more likely to be included in the fallout as an accomplice, as an accessory. Negligence allows for you to get in trouble for being with somebody when somebody did something wrong and somebody else got hurt and you did nothing to stop it. You did nothing to help the injured person. You did nothing to improve the situation. You just let it happen. That is called negligence. And if somebody gets hurt or dies because you watched it happen and did nothing about it, you could get in trouble with the law just for being there. So instead of, ooh, let me get my phone, I'm going to record this and put this on my Snapchat, I'm going to record this and put this on my IG. It's like, oh, it's about to go down. Let me get the fuck up out of here before I get caught up in it. Now, yeah, you might have been there. Yeah, you might have seen it get started, but you wasn't there when it wrapped itself up. You're not identified in that scenario. You're also not included in a lot of different legal situations that you don't need to be in as a character witness, if not one of the accomplice and suspects. Because one of the things that is public knowledge faster than anything else is criminal record, criminal involvement. You don't have to be a criminal to be identified in criminal involvement. Anytime a crime occurs, anytime an incident occurs, one of the things that you've noticed by law enforcement these days is that they don't really give a damn what the law says. They want to identify in their report who they talk to and why they talk to that person. So they will pressure you under the threat of arrest to get your information so that they can document you as the person that they spoke to. Lawfully speaking, if you're not the person committing the crime, then they can list you as John Doe, Jane Doe, John Smith, or person unknown in their report, and then put after person unknown in their report, refuse to give name, and then explain how X, Y, and Z person did what they were supposed to do, or said and did whatever they had to say. If you're intending upon being anonymous for their report, and we've never talked about this before, but if they ask you for your identity, you can make it clear that you would prefer to be anonymous for their report. So however you want to word it, refuse to provide information, refuse to give name, requested to be anonymous, whatever the case may be, but I'm not telling you who I am and I'm not giving you my ID. If that means that you feel like you can take me to jail, you're just gonna have to take me to jail. Let's end the conversation here. Take me to jail, because I'm not gonna tell you who I am, and then when I get to jail, I'm not gonna tell them who I am when I get to jail. They're not gonna process me when I get there. I'm not gonna tell them shit. I don't care if I started that in one of the worst holding cells that they have. I'm not giving them any information. I'm not verifying anything. It'll turn into a huge issue, but you have to recognize only when you're legally required to release information should you release information, which means you need to know what your local laws are about the distribution of your personal information. When do you have the legal obligation to identify yourself, and when do you have the legal obligation not to? Because whenever you interact with a police officer, that's a public record. Whether you were involved in conflict or you saw it, that's a public record. So privacy isn't about having something to hide. It's about having the power to control your own story. Because what people think about you is going to be based off of what people report about you. And while I tell you guys on a regular basis to not ultimately give a damn about how people think about you as far as external judgments for social approval, what people think about you in business negatively impacts your ability to do business. If they think you're a thief, they're not going to sell or buy anything from you. If they think you're a con artist, they're not going to include you in big deals, right? The same way, if they thought that you was a registered offender, they wouldn't let you babysit their kids. It's the same thing. If they have negative opinion about you, you're not likely to qualify for highly reputable positions in society. This is the space that we need to be our authentic selves, free from constant judgment and manipulation. So protecting our privacy isn't about rejecting the future. It's about making sure that our future serves humanity, not just the bottom line. Making sure that it serves ourselves more than it serves somebody else's profit line. Now, the convenience is going to be tempting, but the cost is too high to keep ignoring. And that's why I told you guys, once I found out that they're going fully invasion of privacy with the brand new cars, all of the 2027s should not get sold for anybody who gives a shit about their personal privacy, because they are wiretapping the cars, they are video and audio surveillance on the cars, checking your vitals. And this is the majority of the automakers, especially the American automakers, that are mandatorily required for the cars that are sold in America to stalk you in your cars and get all of your personal information from what you do. So the conversations that you have in your car are documented. You used to be able to have a private conversation in your car, even if you were concerned about your house being marked. Your car is tight now. No, I'm going to have to buy something that came out before 2020. I'm not dealing with that. So I'm going to end with a question. What is the one data collecting habit or service that you're going to reconsider after watching tonight's show? I want you guys to let me know in the comment section. Let's start a conversation and learn from each other, because if you found a lot of the video information that we provided today valuable, I want to make sure that you guys, if you haven't done so already, like and subscribe for more deep dives into the system that's shaping our world, because the digital era is not just beneficial to us out of convenience. It is detrimental to us for our personal autonomy and our privacy. You guys have to understand that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And we utilize this in a multitude of ways. I've told a lot of people that technology is your friend until it's not. And I mean, that's almost like an obvious scenario, but it is a benefit to you until it really starts to cause you harm. But you only notice it once it's already started causing you harm. Once it starts already causing you harm, it's a little too late. Like when y'all watch a Transformer movie where, oh, the robots were helping, it was cool, it was cute. And then when it started killing people, then you're like, oh no, it's gonna take over the world. But in order for enough of them to be in the wrong spot, you had to allow something that wasn't ultimately in the bigger picture benefiting you until it stopped being convenient, and then you were overwhelmed by it. The same thing is happening with sacrificing our personal conveniences for the advancements of technology, is that too much, like having a massive smart house might be the most impressive thing that you use to impress your friends. But I'm going to be honest with you. A 1940s brick house, chimneys, no technology, probably more effective for you because nobody knows what's going on in there. Not until you start putting technological advancements inside of the house. And like Michael says, build a cabin in the woods. But what's a cabin in the woods? The most primitive form of housing. Far off the grid, away from satellites, far off the grid, away from cell towers. Basic primal necessities. Digitally isolated. Why? Because if they can't get in touch with you, they can't get anything from you. You got to think about that. Now, that's all I got for you guys for tonight. I'm going to start saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. Ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, I give you this information to make yourselves higher value men, not just by improving your personal lives, but also improving your financial lives. Recognizing that your personal decision-making skills directly impacts your money. Ladies, while this is a male driven podcast from a male's perspective, you too can make yourselves higher value individuals by paying attention to your 20 and 30-year plans, reverse engineering. That's what you're going to do today to proactively accomplish those tasks. Keep your eyes and ears open for the potential suitors with the right personality and characteristics, drive, ambition, dedication, motivation, admiration, and integrity to accomplish their own goals. Because they're accomplishing their goals. If you got with them, y'all can accomplish y'all's goals together. But you want to make sure that their goals and your goals are similar in nature, where you both have long-term satisfaction goals, not short-term gratification goals. Because if one of you is doing short-term gratification, living in the now, and the other one's got long-term satisfaction, preparing for later, you guys are always going to be conflicted with one another. So we got a lot coming up for the rest of the week, for the next couple of weeks. We got a lot of videos coming out. I want to make sure that you guys take a look at what we've got going on, and also keep going back and visiting the membership and seeing what we've got adding on to the membership. Then, like today's cybersecurity thing, we're going to be putting a lot of information in there that can help you guys improve your privacy and your autonomy and give you different ways to better your capabilities to be successful. And then you just got to apply it. You just got to apply it. Not everything is for everybody, but something in that membership can help you make yourself a lot greater. And one of the things I want to tell you before we wrap things up is, ladies and gentlemen, what you really have to do is you have to pay attention to the things in your life that are inside of your control. That's what you have to do. And then proactively change the things you don't like. And after you've improved your standard, then you can start navigating around the things that you don't have control over. Your life gets better when you stop allowing dissatisfaction to fester in your lifestyle. Okay? So I'm going to leave you with that. Special shout out to Michael, Steven, OG Kicks, FX Trader. I really appreciate you. Joe Jack, I really appreciate you guys for coming to tonight's show. Thank you for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. Chase validation, now I validate myself.
That's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.